Hello, I'm Daniel, and welcome to the Emunah Project. We're continuing our series of commandments concluded in the Prohibition against idolatry. We did numbers 1 to 29, and now we're continuing with number 30. Number 30, destroy false gods and all their objects of worship. Not only are you to destroy the idol itself, but any of the accessories, any of the utensils, the accoutrement involving that idol. Let's say there's utensils, forks, pans, incense holders, anything involved with the worship of the idol, that too is to be destroyed. So destroying the false god and the objects and all of their objects of worship. 31. Not to benefit from false gods and all their objects of worship. In other words, let's say they have stuff in front of the idol and they're using gold plates. You can't swipe the plates, can't use them, can't derive any benefit from the false gods and their objects of worship. Similarly, number 32, not to benefit from ornaments that have adorned false gods. Sometimes you'll see pictures or hear legends of idols and statues that have large diamonds in the forehead. Can't take the diamond, can't benefit from the ornaments that have adorned false gods. Number 33, not to establish a covenant with nations who worship false gods. This is obviously on an international level. An individual doesn't normally make covenants with nations, but you don't establish a covenant with a nation who worships false gods. This is usually out of our power, but again, these commandments still hold. They're still valid. Whether or not we're able to do them right now doesn't lessen their validity. Not to show them, these are the nations who worship false gods, not to show them favor, that's number 34. 35, not to allow them, the idolaters, to settle in our land. Our land obviously means Israel, it doesn't mean wherever you happen to be living right now. 36, not to follow their customs or manner of dress. If the idolaters dress a certain way, we are not to imitate that form of dress. We are to, even if you look at us, we are supposed to dress differently. Our clothing is supposed to be different, and their customs. If they have certain customs to do this, don't do this. This is of particular importance during December, when there's all sorts of dress and customs that people may be tempted to follow. Don't do it. Number 23, not to act as a soothsayer. No working for the psychic network. No being psychic. No. Don't act. Not just be a soothsayer, don't act like a soothsayer. Don't even hold yourself out to be a soothsayer. Number 38, not to practice black magic. This is going to be the subject of at least one or probably two videos. The subject of black magic, white magic, witchcraft, black witches, white witches, gray witches. Ever since Gerald Gardner invented Wicca in the 50s in Britain, the popularity of witchcraft has increased. This subject is very important these days because a lot of people are getting involved. Not only disassociated Jews, but also Bnei Noach may have come from a similar background. This is something I know something about. The practice of magic. Our sages say there are two main schools of thoughts with respect to this. This is definitely the subject of another video. But as far as today's purpose is concerned, if it comes to witchcraft, white or black or gray, we as Jews and Bnei Noach don't get involved. It is a distraction from our path. What non-Noahide Gentiles do, that's a subject for another video. But as far as we're concerned, black magic definitely, and witchcraft, don't do it. 39, not to practice divination. Don't try and contact the spirits of the dead. Don't try and contact these other forces. Ouija boards, even though some people view it as just a toy, don't get involved. I know people who are so strict that they won't even look at horoscopes, zodiac predictions. Oh, today's a good day to do this. Thin edge of the wedge. Open the floodgates. Don't do it. It's not for us. Again, what non-Noahide Gentiles do, that's another story. That's a subject for another video. Related to witchcraft, number 40, do not cast spells. Spell work is important and a big part of most forms of witchcraft. I'm not just talking about Wicca. Wicca is not the only form of witchcraft. The traditions that I'm familiar with in my background is Stregaria. Stregaria is Italian witchcraft. Spells, omens, curses, malocchio, evil eye, all charms, amulets, all that kind of stuff. Don't cast spells. And this is different from a refuah shlema, where you're wishing someone a complete recovery. This is a situation where you're asking God, may it be your will that this person recover completely. Don't cast spells. Very bad. 41, and we've talked about this before, do not seek information from the dead. Don't try and contact Uncle Moishi to find out where he hid his little Maxwell House coffee can full of Krugerrands. Can't do it. Don't contact the spirits of Bobby Shandel to find out where her diamond brooch is. Do not contact the spirits of the dead. Leave them alone. Related, Numbers 42 and 43, do not consult an Ov. Before we talked about don't perform the deeds associated with an Ov and Yadoni. Now don't even consult one. This is what got King Saul in trouble in the book of Samuel, the first book of Samuel, chapter 28. He went to consult the Ashes Balas of Endor, and it did not turn out very well. 42, don't consult an Ov. 43, do not consult a Yadoni. In a future video, I will get into the details of what is an Ov and what is a Yadoni. 44, not to practice sorcery. This is not to be confused with ordinary, run-of-the-mill witchcraft, someone who's involved with Stregaria or Wicca or any of the other forms of witchcraft. This is sorcery. This is something darker. This is something more sinister. This is stay away from it. These kinds of things, witchcraft, sorcery, Yadoni, they are distractions from God. The people who practice these things, whether you're a medium or whether you're into spell work, it's a distraction. You delude yourself into thinking that you're the one who's in control of these forces. Again, we'll get into that in a later video. Number 45, not to shave the temples of our heads. This is very popular with the idolatrous cults in Canaan and Canaan in the Middle East. They would shave their temples as part of their avodah zarah, as part of their idolatry. As you may notice, my temples, the hair of my temples are unshaved. Don't shave the corner. Number 46, don't shave the corners of our beards. This is why observant Jews usually have beards. I'm not going to get into right now what the corners of the beards are. That's sort of the subject that's outside of the scope of this video. But and it says don't shave the corners of your beards. You can use other methods. You can use scissors. You can use a depilatory, whatever. You're not supposed to shave. There's something about the shaving that is forbidden. You will see sometimes clean Jews with clean faces. I don't want to say clean shaven because it gets the impression that they're shaved. But again, how they do it, an electric razor, fine, because it's not shaving, it's cutting. Number 47, for a man not to wear a woman's apparel. And 48, for a woman not to wear a man's apparel or garment. No cross-dressing. Now, our sages, some of our sages say that this is an absolute prohibition. Women are not supposed to wear men's clothing. Men are not supposed to wear women's clothing, period, end of story. Others, sages, say that the prohibition is wearing clothing of the opposite gender for an immoral purpose. That's what's forbidden. But again, be aware of it. No cross-dressing. Can't do it. 49. Oh my goodness. Don't get tattoos. Don't tattoo yourself. Don't have someone tattoo you. This is particularly, like witchcraft, this is something that has seen an enormous resurgence in the last 20, 30, 40 years. You see tattoos everywhere. They're very popular. Don't get a tattoo. don't get a tattoo for whatever reason. As well, I'm doing this because my son, chas v'sholom, died in a car crash, and I want to put his name in. No, don't do it. Now, this may or may not be its own video, but understand that the prohibition is against getting a tattoo. The prohibition is not having a tattoo. If you're a Noahide, if you're a Baalei Tshuva, if you're a convert, and in your pre-Jewish, pre-Noahide past, you got tattoos, again, the prohibition is not against having a tattoo. It's against getting a tattoo. I will relate in time a wonderful story with respect to tattoos that was told by Lazer Brody when he overheard a conversation in Rebbe Nachman's mikveh at Uman. Very, very powerful story. I hope to relate it in another video. So, tattoos. The prohibition is getting one. And of course, this does not refer to the poor people who went through the Holocaust and were forced to get numbers, tattoos. And I don't know who came up with the story about someone with a tattoo can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. I've never heard anything so ridiculous in your life. Whenever you hear it, just ignore it. It's just simply not true. Similarly, number 50, not to make cuts in one's flesh. Sometimes as a sign of mourning, people would scratch their faces. The Maori of New Zealand would cut scars and then put ash in the scars and make markings on their faces. Don't do it. Don't cut your body for whatever reason, whether it's for quote-unquote decoration or whether for a sign of mourning. Don't scratch your face. Don't do it. The non-Jews, the non-Noahides, the idolatrous people do it. We don't do it. And 51, related to mourning, not to tear out one's hair in mourning for the dead. Sometimes some people are so overcome with grief that they literally start tearing out their hair. You know the expression, he was tearing out his hair? Some people tear out their hairs in grief. Don't do it. They do it. We don't do it. We have our own methods to dealing with grief and sorrow. Do not adopt the ways of the idolaters. There is a clear definition between them, the idolatrous people, and Jews and Bnei Noach. There's a separation, and we should never cross the line. We should really even not get up near the line. A lot of these things are to protect us and prevent us from doing that. We're going to be going into some of these commandments in future videos. Until then, on behalf of the Emunah Project, I'm Daniel, and thank you too much.